Hello, hello. This is Kara from Cypress College Cyber Club, and today I'm going to be going over the Cisco Networking Academy lab on Bitlocker and Bitlocker to go. So in this lab, we are going to be encrypting a removable storage drive with Bitlocker to go and encrypting a drive with an operating system on it with Bitlocker. And when we encrypt a drive, what we're actually doing is taking all of the data on it and basically turning it into random characters. But the encryption algorithm is actually an algorithm. It does it in a very specific way where if you were to give the program a password, it could decrypt it. So this is useful because, for example, with a removable storage drive, if you have important files for your company on it and some malicious person were to steal that drive, and then they plug it into a computer and they try to read the data on it, it just looks like random characters. But then you would have the password to be able to actually decrypt that and access the files that you need to do your job. So keep in mind that Bitlocker is only available on certain Windows versions, essentially not the home version. So Ultimate and Enterprise and Pro and Education. But that's why I'm using NetLab, because I only have Windows Home. So, to actually get started on the lab, we're going to be doing this on the Windows 8 machine, which I think this is a typo because this is a Windows 10 machine, but I'm going to trust that it means PC1. So, we'll type in the password here. That being said, looking here, Bitlocker is also available on the Windows 8 machine that we have, so whichever way you see fit to do this lab, as long as you're using Bitlocker, that's the important thing. So in both cases, Bitlocker is off by default, so to turn it on, we're going to need to go to Control Panel. All right, we will change the category to small icons, and that gives us some more detail, so we can find Bitlocker right there. Okay, looking at this, it is totally Windows 8, so I'm going to switch over here to the Windows 8 PC. That being said, it will work on both computers because they both have Bitlocker. Whoa. Okay, so to get to Control Panel, we're right-clicking on the Start menu, and that'll show us there. And again, we need to change to small icons if yours says Category. And Bitlocker will be right here. Okay, once we get to this screen, we are not doing C drive right now. We are doing the removable drive second disk. And we'll just hit turn on Bitlocker. Use a password. And I'm using the same password that we use to log in, which is what it tells us to do. But if you're doing this on your own computer, you should use a more secure password than just ITE password, especially since this is security. This is a security issue. You don't want to use an easy to guess password for encrypting your data. It also says that you can use a smart card. So if you haven't seen a smart card before, you probably have, actually, because they're cards with a little chip in them that a device like this would be able to read. And generally, the most common usage we see is of credit cards, which is why when I looked up smart card, you found a bunch of credit cards. That being said, you can actually use it and then use the PIN on it instead of a password. And then that way you just have a physical item that you would use to decrypt your drive instead of a password. All right. So How do you want to back up your recovery key? Save to file. We're going to save this in Documents. And as it tells you, it's a good idea to have more than one recovery key. For example, if this computer crashes, your removable media would just be unreachable after that. Assuming you still remember the password, or did not remember the password anyway. All right, so it says your recovery key has been saved, so we can move to the next one. And we want to encrypt the entire drive. It'll tell us that that'll take a while. We'll start encrypting that, which it's actually happening pretty quickly, so that's okay. All right. Okay, and that was it. Data safe. Okay, now that we have that encrypted, we are going to access that, so we'll find it in File Explorer. And it's this one. You can actually see it's got the little lock icon on it, so Windows knows that it's encrypted. All right. So if there were files on here, they would be encrypted. There aren't any. So just gonna close that out. Okay. So for step 3, we're actually supposed to go to Control Panel, Small Icons View, and then go back to Bitlocker Drive Encryption, which is this page. So I'm just going to stay here. And we want to select the encrypted movable drive. Okay. So turn off Bitlocker. Again, this is the decrypting step, so we're turning off Bitlocker. And this will decrypt the drive. Okay, so turn off. That didn't take very long. It's pretty quick, assuming it's a small drive with not a lot of data on it like this one. All right. And keep in mind, it might ask you to enter the password, which if you used ITE password, it's ITE password. If not, I hope you remember it. Otherwise, you should be able to use the recovery key to open it. All right. Once we're done with that, that's it. We're going to move on to encrypting the operating system drive. So again, Control Panel, System and Security, Bitlocker Drive Encryption. But this time we are working on C drive, so we will turn on Bitlocker. And it warns us here, this device cannot use a trusted platform module. This might not actually happen to you, in which case skip these numbered steps here. But in our case it did. So actually I'll talk about that when we get to the question at the bottom. Okay, so since we cannot use a trusted platform module, we need to do some extra steps. So we're going to hit cancel really quick. Where's our search? There it is. Okay, so gpedit.msc. So this is Group Policy Editor, and this is something that managers can use, or system administrators can use to change the policy for many different groups of users. So allowing or disallowing users to do certain actions. So under computer configuration, we've got administrative templates. And under there, where are we? Windows components. And Bitlocker Drive Encryption. So we are going to do, am I missing a folder? Operating system drives. Yes, there we go. Okay, so require additional authentication at startup. Okay, once that is open, we are going to hit enable and apply. Okay. So again, I'll go over what Trusted Platform Module is in a second. But essentially this is an alternative for not having a trusted platform module. All right, so once we've got that done, we should be able to just go straight to it, and now we don't get that warning message. Okay, so again, we have a physical option for securing this, which is a USB flash drive. But in our case, we're just going to do a password again. Okay. And when it asks us how to back up the recovery key, we're going to say print. Save printed output. Okay, so we're doing the document writer one. And we're just going to save it as recovery OS key. All right. So, okay, recovery key printed. We got that. Good. Okay, and we're going to encrypt used disk space only, which makes sense because our operating system drive on this computer is bigger than the recovery drive that we just encrypted. So now we're just going to hit restart now. And again, it restarts before encrypting. And this process might take a little bit. So, oh, that didn't take very long at all. All right. Okay, so we type in our password, and now Windows will start up. So back to Trusted Platform Module. So what a Trusted Platform Module actually is, it's this little chip here, and you'll see it actually says TPM on it for Trusted Platform Module. So encryption can be very demanding of resources because, again, you're going through all of the data you have and randomizing it. Well, randomizing to be able to be unlocked with a password, but again, very resource intensive, right? So because we want to encrypt things all the time, for example, on the internet, right, we want to be on HTTPS, and we want a lot of security. And when we're sending passwords over the network to log into websites, we don't want to send them in plain text, right? Because then if anybody is listening to our transmissions, then they can just read the password. So we want to be encrypting them all the time. But again, encryption, very resource intensive. So what we do instead is we have a very specific piece of hardware that is dedicated to encrypting things. And on most consumer products, that is a Trusted Platform Module. So our virtual machine here does not have a Trusted Platform Module. And so when it asks you what is the function of a TPM in relation to Bitlocker, it is the hard drive or the hardware that it would be using to encrypt the drive. Since there is not one on this device, it would just need to use the actual processor to be doing that, which can take a while. All right. Where were we? Restarting. Okay, so now that we've restarted, you saw it asked me for a password when I logged in, besides the actual login password, which is why it's better to make it a different password. Anyway, so the reason why it did that is because when the operating system is encrypted, like the whole point of Bitlocker, right, is that you have to insert a password or show a smart card or insert a flash drive in order to access your encrypted data. So if the operating system itself is encrypted, it makes sense that you would need to input a password to actually access the operating system, which is Windows. So if you want to boot to Windows, you would need to put in your password. For some people, that can be really annoying to have 2 different passwords every time they log into their computer. So I'm going to show you how to turn that off. So we go back to Control Panel. Right-click Start menu, click Control Panel. And we've already got small icons on, so we just need to click this. And once we're here, we click Turn Off Bitlocker. And it's encrypted right now. It will be decrypted, so this might take a while. So we'll just hit Turn Off. It'll tell us decryption in process. And again, this will take a second. So something I just looked up really quick while we were waiting for that is the difference between a TPM and an HSM. So an HSM is hardware security module, which all of that resource intensive stuff I was talking about, that's actually what HSMs were designed for. They are the piece of hardware that is used for security, that is just dedicated encryption, decryption hardware. So what a trusted platform module is, it's a specific version of an HSM. And so it'll have a unique RSA key burned into it for asymmetric encryption, like sending passwords back and forth. And it can also generate, store, and protect other keys used in encryption and decryption. Whereas very high performance HSMs, they might be external devices connected to a network and have their own IP address and everything. So small HSMs are expansion cards that you would install within a server or devices to plug into a computer port, whereas a trusted platform module, like you just saw, they are very small chips that will just be sitting like on a motherboard somewhere. All right, let's check. Wow, it is still going. All right, I won't make you sit here the whole time this drive is decrypting. But once this was decrypted, we would close. Oh, all right. BitLocker's off. Okay, that's the lab. So I hope you learned something. And don't forget to encrypt all of your important data.